Okay, so hello, I'm Nachum Lamour-Fridman. I'm 38 years old, husband to Meital, father to Maayan, which is soon to be 1 year old and 10 months. Really amazing little person. I'm a student for sustainability and government in Reichman University, finishing my third year. I'm also living with the PTSD, with the post-traumatic stress disorder for my military service. And it took me a long time to start treating myself and talking with myself. And since the moment I began doing so, I started my journey for healing and coming back to life, to reality, to society. And for me, it's a mission to put trauma on the table so people can know about it, learn about it, treat themselves and others for future generations and for anyone that is alive now. I love to read, I love books, I like music, nature, agriculture. It's what I'm doing in my life with the pre-military boarding school and with youth and education systems and consulting to startups and social initiatives. And I have the project I'm leading with a great an amazing bunch of people to build an eco-village for healing and recovery from military service trauma, and also to bring the knowledge and the solutions from around the world to be easy to access online in a personal way, because each and every one of us is a little bit different. And there isn't one suit that can fit all, but there is one ground that can feed everyone. So
yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more if you're happy to share about your story, with PTSD and how it was that you, I guess, came to realize what it was you needed to heal.
So I was enlisted to the army in 2003 and done my mandatory service for 3 years. And I saw a lot of combat and also a lot of friction with the civilian population. And I didn't know that it took parts of my soul or left the scars on my body and my mind. And I just released and tried to continue my life. I worked for almost a year in the kibbutz I live in, which is a commune way of living, sharing the resources. And I went back to the army right after the Second Lebanon War, and done a job as in one of the units for almost half a year and released again, and tried to be in the United States for travel and work and seeing friends, and things started to go out, the tension and the crying and the nightmares and the readiness for extreme violence every second that I was awake or asleep. And so I fled back to Israel, tried to work as everyone else. I didn't manage to work. I started to deteriorate. I was a really social person before. And after that, I really started to avoid more and more things, to drink, to abuse drugs and prescription drugs, and actually became a zombie. I was afraid to go to sleep so I won't have nightmares. And then I tried to go to the academy to be a teacher, because I can't work, maybe I can study, maybe it will be better. It didn't work, but I met the amazing woman that is my wife today. So it was a really big, important part of my journey. And in 2010, I made an NGO that helped me with the other people to do group sessions outside of Israel, try to share and talk. The first journey, I didn't share anything, but a few months after we finished, the manager of the NGO, Bishvil HaMachar, it's the name of the organization, she asked me help with the logistics, and I said, logistics, I can do it. And just in the airport, I understood that she wanted me to participate in the group. This time I put myself into the process and was able to share that it's hard for me, that I used my weapon in a lethal way and took lives. And when we came back to Israel, she took me like in the ear to a therapist that was really knew what he's doing and had a lot of experience. And he treated me voluntarily because I wasn't able to finance nothing. He treated me for almost 4 years and helped me to talk with myself and make order between nightmare and reality and what happened and when, and to write it down and put the papers to the Israeli Ministry of Defense to claim my rights, the recognition from the state in my medical state. And all this time, I started to learn more and more about trauma, about the body, about nature, about technology, about the breakthrough in science, any field that is possible. And when I was able to go out from my own home outside, I realized that everything that I didn't have for many years, it will be my mission to bring to others as a fertile ground for growth and thrivability. And I started inside my kibbutz in an old quarry from a Roman Byzantine period, from the Roman Byzantine time in Israel. They carved stone to build the ancient Caesarea. And I started there, and after a few years it grew, and the kibbutz decided that it's too big for them, so now we're bringing it outside, and we have an historical farm that now the lawyers closing all the papers, but they will invite us to build a center inside the farm. It's where they discovered the mother of wheat, that most of the world is eating wheat that developed from that wheat. Aaron Aronson came to Israel and discovered it in that farm. So it's also have history, over 100 years of history and research and working the land and the people. So also the spirit of the place suiting for activity, for recovery and research and connecting with nature. And we want to, by using psychotherapy with all the experience and talent there is, to give it all the support needed for every person that will come, for a personal way of grow inside a group. And it will be like a boarding school. They come in involuntarily, of course. You should choose to participate. And we want to support them by learning about trauma, about human body, about agriculture, about the new science, and prove between the things how being in nature can aid us, can provide us, how we can provide the land that feed us, that give us life. And to connect the personal trauma to the trauma the entire ecological systems is experiencing now, also because of human behavior. But there's lots of hope because both pains are caused by human behavior, so other human behavior can change it. And one more big thing that lead in our path is the knowledge that is now well known that trauma echoes through generations by behavior, by heritage, by our genes and the way our body works. So it's our responsibility for ourselves, for future generations, to bring and provide people the tools to know it first, and then to show them that any person can find the things that will provide for him or her. And we see it as a program for an impact program for agents, for training agents for positive change in the personal level, in the family level, in the community level, in the national level, and the international level. I joined, we formed in a way like an informal forum for veterans from around the world, from the United States, from Australia, from Britain, from Ukraine, from Canada, and we're open for more veterans to join, to share the knowledge. And we discovered that few of us are doing kind of the same work in a way. You know, you have cultural differences and regulation and bureaucracy, but the essence is the same. So we just last week decided to give it a go, to find a way to make a documentary that will share the stories from around the world and show that it's the same process of healing. It's the same. We are the medicine, like few people 2 weeks ago said in a church in Pennsylvania. We are the medicine. We can heal ourselves. We can provide for the environment and for families. And inside this center, we're also planning to build a research center for technology and research to take care of also the community of the people that given the treatments. So they have a place to share the knowledge and train each other and experiment and maybe learn other perspectives and prisms of therapy from what we'll have from this holistic approach and space we're trying to provide. Way to bring the ROI is healthy people, healthy society with less pain and more resilience. And there is so many working programs to prevent to reduce suicides and to make people more resilient, to provide them with soft skills, to know how to learn, how to breathe, how to read themselves before they in full volume, to learn how their body works, how the way they eat and what they eat can also support, and how being aware to what we do now can support all those little things for so many fields, to bring it to people in also using AI, responsible AI and machine learning to make these personal recommendations. So we need a pre-seed. We'll be brave soon enough and do it. Tomorrow we have a meeting in the hyperbaric research center in a big hospital in Israel, Asaf HaRofeh, Shamir Medical Center. They just opened a 4 stories building for the hyperbaric chamber research, and 1 floor, and the entire floor is dedicated for PTSD. So that's amazing. They have an MRI, which is a beta site for one of the best companies in the world. They have neurofeedback, biofeedback. They have, and I was treated in the old clinic, in the old building. I was in the hyperbaric treatment research for 73 sessions, I think. Each one of them 2 hours, sitting inside the chamber, taking oxygen in intervals, trying to listen to the doctor's recommendations and read the entire time I'm there. And when I finished, I was confident and brave enough to sign for a second academic experience, and this time it's going to be a successful one. So it's a big change, and I'm able to enjoy music the way I wasn't able before, after, like, in the period after the army. So in my personal journey, I tried so many things. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. Some of them was really bad, and some of them was a matter of timing in the process. But this relentless pursuit after being alive in a positive way, not uh, in a violent way, made many connections, and I have so few of what there is in the world, so we need to bring it together.
Obviously there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot more awareness around trauma, and you've talked a lot about the vision you have as well for what you've got going on. And what I'm really curious about is, you said that you live in a kibbutz, right? And this is something that, well, it's really becoming more and more popular, I guess, in Europe, in the US, to live in these organized communities, maybe self-sustaining, maybe not, but there's some element of gardening involved. And yeah, I just was wondering if you'd say a little bit more about the impact of that way of living on your mental health, and kind of how that would compare if you were living alone inside an apartment by yourself.
Okay, there's two sides for the answer. The first one, that for better and worse, if I think that if I was living in the city, in the condition, in the hard times where I was ending up in jail, in the grave, or in mental hospital, not by will. And as much as the community didn't know exactly how to help me, it still provided me with food and roof and where to wash my clothes if I was remember to take it there. And I can really criticize, because I still have my disputes with a few of the community managers about responsibilities and law and our own community regulations that they don't follow. But still, it's I deeply believe in this way of living. This is why I chose, even though I have lots of criticism, to be a member in this community, to be able to vote and try and change and offer my perspective to reality. And as much as it was really disappointing for me that they decided not to have this project inside our own community, I still think that it came out better, because now we have better places to do it that can provide more resources, and maybe I'll be able to bring it back to the community in a later stage, because we build in a model so people can copy and not copy, but fit to their own community, to their own population they want to target, because in trauma there isn't hierarchy. It doesn't matter if you fell from the stairs, if someone, I don't know, scared you when you were a kid, or for God forbid, someone hurt you physically or mentally, or you've been in war. It doesn't matter. It's still the entire experience of a person. So living in this community is weird, but hopeful. We have massive agriculture, we have industry, we have so many talented people here. And now my community is kind of in a way of having less community now, less sharing the resources. And the world is going the opposite way. So we kind of became capitalist and heavy consumers. But I hope that if we'll decide to change our community, at least we'll decide to take tools and roadmap like the SDGs to guide us to whatever we decide as the community we want to change.
Great. Well, I hope so. It'd be interesting if the world goes one way and your community has gone back into.
That's what's happening now. It's kind of an absurd play to live in. But there's sparks of change because we have installed more renewables for most kibbutzes in Israel. But in the same time, we own one of the biggest factory for plastic in the world, I guess. So it's really weird. We live in the middle of 3 nature reserves that are really unique. We're on the path of immigration for birds globally. So we have seasons with millions and millions of birds flying over us from all over the world. Some of them land to eat the fish we grow in our fish ponds. It's interesting. We have water fountains that are the northern side of the Israeli aquifer for drinking water. And we sit on a land that used to be partly swamps. And the Romans were here, and we have caves with presence of human Homo sapiens for over 60,000 years. There's so many history, human history and natural history here. We're on the cross-section between 3 big continents, and all the environmental pressures and the geopolitical pressures, we feel them all the time by immigrants, by weather, by pollution. So we're a big hotspot in many ways. And it's a privilege and a challenge at the same time.
Well, thank you anyway for sharing this with me today, and I look forward to hearing how your project develops. And yeah, the time has kind of flown by.
Wow, yeah.
So I'd love to hear more, but I'm afraid I'll have to wrap up now. So thank you so much for joining and for sharing with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.